there. Now, the situation in Ukraine is constantly developing, constantly changing. To touch on a point that we talked about a little bit earlier, specifically Greystone's involvement and possible U.S. mercenary involvement in Ukraine, let's cross to Michael Prysner, an Iraq War veteran and anti-war activist from the Answer Coalition. Mike, thank you very much for being with us here on RT. Let's just ask the basic question. Could U.S. contractors indeed be operating in Ukraine?
Well, of course they could. There's no law in the world that the Pentagon recognizes or will follow for its own soldiers, let alone its dirty little secret with its corporate hitmen that it has. And we do know that mercenaries of this type, especially that have grown out of Blackwater, have been illegally operating in countries all around the world. So we can assume that wherever there is dirty work to be done, where the U.S. wants its hands clean and be able to say it has no connection to it, we can expect that these private mercenaries could be there because it's part of a shift in U.S. strategy over the past decade or more towards special operations on the one hand and these private military contractors on the other.
Let's take a look down the rabbit hole a little bit. If this proves to be true, why would the interim government actually have use for these mercenaries? Why would they need to be there in the first place?
Well, the new government in Ukraine is very unpopular in large parts of the country. And the uprisings that we're seeing all over are threatening the new rule of this semi-fascist government that's willing to sell off the entire country to the West. So repression against these popular uprisings is really all this new power has to be able to maintain its power. And the U.S. and the EU very much want to secure the results of their operation to bring Ukraine into their sphere of influence. Neocons like John Kerry and John McCain, of course, have already been pushing for arming these, largely dominated by right-wing forces who have taken control. And, of course, we know them to be wanting to favor even direct military intervention. But direct military intervention creates all types of risks and problems for the administration. And so short of direct military intervention, they're able to exert the military force that they want with just this different type of situation where they can absolve themselves of responsibility.
Well, this firm that is in question, Greystone specifically, has dubious ties, formerly affiliated with Blackwater. Should the authorities in Kiev or the people in Kiev be worried that this type of a force is being kind of let loose in their country?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, it's important to point out where these mercenaries come from. You know, it said that there's an estimated 150 of these mercenaries operating in Ukraine. These aren't 150 regular soldiers, people who served in the U.S. or other foreign militaries, just as rank-and-file soldiers like myself, and then got these contractor jobs. These are soldiers who are coming out of the special operations forces of the U.S. military and other militaries, those who are highly trained in ambushes, in sabotage, and psychological operations. Really, the most elite troops in the world are the ones that are recruited to these very lucrative positions as private hitmen. And not only do they come from these sectors of the military, but those who are in these mercenary forces are known to be this really rare breed of ultra-violent individuals. Myself, when I was in Iraq in 2003 and 2004, regular army soldiers hated the mercenaries that were there because they were known as being so reckless, just driving around, shooting people at random, and really angering the population against them and everyone else who was there. And so their history speaks for itself. And just massacres like Nicer Square, where these aren't situations where they use excessive force in response to an attack, but situations where they were just straight up sitting there murdering people who were walking down the street. This is the conduct of the people there. And so absolutely anyone who's in their area of operation should be very concerned.
All right. Certainly interesting to hear your take on this with your experience. Thank you very much, Michael Prysner, Iraq War veteran and anti-war activist from the Answer Coalition. Thanks for being with us here on RT.